What's up, guys? Welcome back to Keeping It Real, the place to be for all the latest movie reviews, trailer reactions, and podcasts. I'm your host, James, joined by all the boys today. It's been a while. Calvin, Jack, and Reese. Before we dive into it all, I just want to remind you all we are on Twitter at Keeping It Real UK. Give us a follow, and from there you can find links to all of our streaming platforms and social media on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, whichever app you use to listen to our podcast. Make sure to follow us, like us, or give us a 5-star rating. We're also on YouTube, and we'd love to have you all subscribers so you never miss another video. So today we are going to review, I usually say that up top, but I forgot, we are going to review Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Big movie, so I hope you're all watching. The plot, we'll do a quick little one about the plot. Queen Ramonda, Shuri, and Baku Okoye and the Dora Milaje fight to protect their nation from intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As the Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with Nakia and Everett Ross to forge a new path for their beloved kingdom. Directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, Danai Gurira, Winston Duke, Dominique Thorne, and Tenoch Huerta. The movie released on November 11, 2022, and currently sits at an 84% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Did everyone like the way I said Tenoch Huerta?
Yeah, I was impressed by
Yeah,
that.
you really put your chest into
Thank
that.
you.
You put the effort.
Yeah.
Put my whole pussy into that one.
I was about to say that exact same thing.
Right. Let's start off. We'll go with who saw this movie first. Calvin, you saw this a couple of days early, so give us a spoiler-free, quick little minute. Your thoughts on Black Panther?
I thought it was all right. I don't think it was great, but I don't think it was bad. I think it was just.
You did come out and I went, how was it? And you went, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just okay. I think it's at its best when it's working through sort of the emotional trauma that the audience and the characters have to go through.
Yes.
I think that link probably makes those scenes hit a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also think it tries to do too much on top of all that stuff because it still has to be this big sort of spectacle superhero film, and I feel like the pacing, editing, and general plot is what lets it down from being genuinely great.
Okay.
I felt like a lot of the slower moments with their mourning are sort of, they feel like they're given time, but then as soon as we're made aware of the emotion that we should be feeling in that scene, they're like, right, that's done, we've got to move on. And I don't know, for me, I'm just like, it feels like half a tribute, half like a touching tribute, half like a product.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my issue with it.
I'll jump in next because I want to jump on the back of that sort of rushing on from the emotional beats. I felt that as well. Like you said, there are plenty of moments where the characters are allowed to sit with the grief. But then as soon as that's done, next scene. And I always feel like there should have been another beat, just a moment to sit with what's just happened. And it immediately was like Atlantic Ocean. And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
There was a 5-minute period in the middle of the film where I counted like 5 different locations within like 5 minutes.
Same.
I was like, "What? You can't keep doing this."
But I thought other than that, it was. I was much higher on this than you were, Calvin. I thought this was like really special because I thought, yeah, it does have those big CGI fights, and there is problems with the editing. But what this movie's really about, which is grief, overcoming loss, and the whole process of moving on. I think all that stuff is done just flawlessly. And I thought Letitia Wright, who there's been some controversy about her on Twitter and such, especially during the production of this movie. But I thought her performance was amazing, and I liked Shuri in the first film. I liked when she popped up in Avengers, but I thought here is a much more mature performance from her, and that really fit the tone of what was going on with her character. And a lot of the problems with these Marvel movies is emotions are overshadowed by the comedy, and there's too many jokes, and sometimes it's not from the characters who should be making the jokes. It seems like everybody's quipping all the time, and I thought with this, that was toned down. There was snippets of humor, but in the scenes where they made sense. And I thought, coming from characters like Namor, talk about Namor, he had a little bit of a sense of humor to him that it sort of enamored you with the character, but there was also that sort of a danger where you believed him when he made threats. And I thought Tenoch Huerta was incredible, and I'm unfamiliar with his work, but I thought he really blew me away, and he did the whole anti-hero thing much better than what we really recently saw in Black Adam, where because he's meant to be an anti-hero, so all the way through is just going, I'm no hero. But here you get it because his motivations are clear and understandable. I think Ryan Coogler did that so well in the first film as well, with making you see Killmonger's point of view. You're not completely with him the way he's going about it, but you understand his motivations. And Ryan Coogler is just incredible at doing antagonists. That's, I think, really one of his strengths. And I hope the third film and so on goes down a similar vein. But Jack, what did you think of Black Panther?
Yeah, you've both pretty much said most of what I was going to say without spoiling it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think for me, like, yeah, the emotion, like, I was a mess during this movie.
Oh,
all the
got me like 5-6
really,
times.
Yeah, all the emotional beats really fucking hit me straight in the gut. The bits that let me down, I feel, I expect mainly with the last like the third act, like, fight sequence and stuff. I thought some of the action was like quite underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was. I feel like the last 5 minutes, I just didn't really feel very much like the last 5 minutes of the grand
Conflict,
encounter, I suppose. Yeah. I didn't really feel anything for it. I was just like, oh, and like, I know in these Marvel movies you want a mixture of good writing, you want all those like emotional impacts, but then you do want, like, for that, when there is a fight scene, you want it to be like, like, bang, you want to come away being like, oh, that was cool. I didn't really feel like that. There was one
out of Shang-Chi.
Yeah, like, Shang-Chi, I couldn't fucking sleep that night.
Popped the dragon open. It was incredible.
Yeah. I didn't really get much of that during this film. There is one bit when we talk about spoilers, which I'll talk about later. But I think overall, like, this film was like, it must have been such a fucking challenge to make, because obviously when Ryan Coogler wrote the original script, this wasn't the film he wanted to make, really. And then
there was similar stuff. It was the whole Namor conflict, but obviously, yeah, the core of the film must have been completely different.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how. And like, yeah, and then also, like, all those people, well, most of the people on it worked with Chadwick before, and I think that's why the emotional beats do work, because, like, you can feel, like, realness behind it, even
they're
though
using that.
Yeah. Overall, yeah, no, I thought it was good. Someone's saying about the editing. There were some bizarre editing choices in this movie, like just random cuts, just when you don't even feel like a scene is over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, pretty positive.
All right, Reese.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think you guys did cover a lot of the stuff. Obviously they do the emotional bits well. The comedy works well. I agree with, like, the action. I think the end is kind of summed up very quickly. I feel like it ends quite abruptly.
I thought the opposite. I thought we got. I was like, oh, which scene's the end? I thought there was, like,
oh no, I think
different...
I mean like the fight. The last
yeah,
fight.
Oh right, yeah,
I
see. Yeah,
resolved
okay.
really quickly.
Right.
I think you touched on Letitia Wright being great in this, but I think Angela Bassett was.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we were going to get to it. My God.
I have an issue with a few of the we'll call it costume decisions, suit decisions. I think some of them looked pretty bad. Someone described them as, like, Power Ranger esque.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think, but Namor is one of the I think he's one of the best antagonists in Marvel's scene, and I think it's one of the strongest things they put out, despite the flaws. I think it's one of the strongest things they put out in Phase 4. But overall, yeah, it was a good film. I got emotional. I think everyone did. Even though Jack was convinced. Jack was convinced.
Just throwing that out there to make us believe that he's a human being.
Jack was convinced I wouldn't, but yeah, straight away I was just like,
Yeah, well, yeah. So let's should we talk about that? Should we spoilers from now on? So if you haven't seen Wakanda Forever, check out, go see it, and come back, and we can. I think with these big Marvel movies, we tend to just sort of hit the big beats, don't we, in chronological order? So I think what a way to start this movie off at the funeral, which like.
Well, it doesn't start there, does it? It starts
with Shuri trying to.
Yeah,
which I thought was like, which I feel like I get what they put that scene in, but for me, there's one of those scenes where I feel like I could have just been, you could have not had it in there, and written some, like you could have done it a different way to just make the film, because the film's super long as it is. I don't know, that scene I just felt like.
I don't know. I like that scene because I felt the urgency of it, and
but I guess
how she couldn't be by her brother's side because she was trying to save him.
It was very wrapped up very quickly when it just. I don't know. I didn't like the scene. I didn't like where it was
to make us.
But I think it's not that I think it's a bad scene. It's just I personally, it wasn't what I would have wanted there. But whatever. I personally wanted to start with the funeral and then have some don't know, maybe they needed a wake. I can't think of what I would put.
I think that scene played into Shuri's arc though, because she I get what she was feeling because she couldn't say goodbye, and she wasn't there with him. So I felt that later on. So I did enjoy the scene. I like the way it was shot as well. It was frantic and everyone was panicking.
I feel like this film would be without the actors. If the actors' performances were all just a little bit worse, then I think this film would completely fall flat on its face. Like if they were, because it's about like Namor, Shuri, Queen Ramonda. They were the three absolutely carrying the film. Like
I thought Danai Gurira was really good.
They were the most emotional people that I felt anyway.
Yeah. So then we get to the funeral. I thought this scene was beautiful. It looked amazing, and it was more of a celebration of T'Challa from Wakanda, and but in the middle, walking through the ceremony, Shuri and Queen Ramonda are just broken, and then finally when they unveiled it, the coffin looked beautiful.
Oh yeah, the coffin was sick. But the whole lead up to it, when there's people dancing and stuff. I guess it's supposed to be a celebration, but all I could think was imagine being in the middle, being like, guys, my fucking brother's just died.
I think that's why they wore white. I think that's why they wore white as well, sort of signifying this is not like
it's not mourning yet. It's thank you, Black Panther. That's and then this is where I first broke with when Shuri does and she goes down on the coffin, and that's like you were saying, Jack. I felt like that was real. That felt like it was something. And I loved when the coffin goes up into the ship and it flips up and it's. That's amazing.
I wanted a wide shot of that, going up. I thought that I don't know. I just thought I hope there's a really nice wide shot of this, and then there wasn't. And I was like,
and that is the last we see of T'Challa's gone now, and that's a real moment. And this was where I felt like it had a beat to sit with the emotion. We get that nice. Big wide shot of Wakanda.
I just guess we didn't
everyone
get the
doing
beats, because if we did have all the beats of the emotional moments, that film would have been fucking 3.5 hours long.
We talk about that later. Yeah, what they did. decide to include. And then that leads into that silent Marvel intro that again got me. I kept going.
Gone.
And I'd hear
that bit in the
sniffles
cinema,
all
right?
around. Yeah.
It was dead silent, apart from these two ratty kids sat behind me, who clearly didn't know Chadwick Boseman was dead. They hadn't, because they were like, "Oh, why'd they kill him off?" They were like, "What a shit way to kill him off!" And I was like, "How do you not know?
The man died."
I was like, "How do you not know?"
It's pretty big news, yeah. This is where. So this is where we first see Queen Ramonda at the UN, and oh god, the deltoids on the woman, Angela Bassett's ripped. It's incredible.
Her acting in all those scenes where she's. Oh no, that's a different scene, is it? When she's addressing like her like
when she's going up to screaming.
But this scene, for example, like was meant to. I know it's meant to signify that the rest of the world now are trying to get the vibranium, and you see the scene, which then introduces Namor. But as soon as Namor becomes part of the film, which is one of my issues, that other plot line is completely abandoned. And I know they have to like move on to Namor, but it's just they wanted to they're trying to like. It feels like they're trying to keep the conflict going because they know they have other projects on the horizon. But like in Marvel, they're trying to build a world, aren't they? Like more of the cinematic universe. And
but like that,
I don't like having a plot line completely abandoned in a film. Like it served no real.
You're talking about the rest of the world hunting, like that.
I
find vibranium. I don't. I think that served as motivation for Namor.
Issue.
I think that's going to pay off later.
First.
I don't think this.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It feels like we're just building.
Yeah, so I think we'll get to it, and there's a plan, hopefully, a through line.
That scene was so cool, though.
I don't think you have time for that in this movie.
Well, yeah, I didn't get time for hardly anything.
Exactly. Soon after, we are introduced to Namor, and I like the way we got Namor at first, because despite his silly little ankle wings, he was quite scary.
Those wings were sick, mate.
Well, yeah, they didn't make them silly. They were actually pretty like, oh god.
I like how silly he got, so I'm quite bored of
I thought the design was incredible, yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they stuck him with like the pointy ears and his little wings and his feet that are quite easily damaged, which is a fucking nightmare.
And I thought the origin of Namor was incredible, and they really established
I thought it was I thought it was rushed. His backstory,
yeah, it kind of had to be the because they changed.
Rushed. Like they tried
to change his origin, right, in this, because he's not originally like my. Yeah. So obviously they had to come up with something new, and they didn't want to put too much thought into it.
I don't like his backstory. I know he's like an anti-hero, so maybe he'll get his own solo thing, and they'll go into it a bit more. But for this film, I could see what they were trying to do with like the colonization and stuff. But for me, it didn't really make me feel worse for him, because of how rushed that I felt that whole sequence was. Like it was such an uninteresting way to do a flashback where you have the character recite, "This is how it happened," and then we just have a voiceover sort of flashback. I don't know. It just doesn't.
I think to me, in the context, he was telling Shuri to win her over.
I just don't think it works. It just didn't work for me.
That's fair.
I feel like
I did.
It's something you have to spend more time on. I would have been fine. And obviously it's a way to try and build empathy with the character, because that's the modern thing to do with villains, isn't it? Try and make them like an empathetic villain, even though he is probably going to become a hero in his own sort of right, because I think that's where his character trajectory has gone in the comics.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just thought the whole sequence, I wanted more expansion on it, because I thought it was interesting, like these people like being forced into water and then starting this whole kingdom. But obviously you haven't got time for it.
You haven't got time,
and that is part of the issue with with these things sometimes.
It is crazy. It's a 2 hour 40-minute movie, and somehow you Yeah,
That seems to be
you
their like
feel like there's not quite enough of.
long film happy mark.
Mm.
Like all their long films seem to be like 2 hour 40. Most
I
of them,
think
anyway.
this is the longest one other than Endgame.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're all like 2 hour 40
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Weird. Like the
Eternals is
like,
longer than
that's
this,
how long we can
surely.
hold
Eternals,
people.
yeah.
Anything longer, we can't hold it there.
Well, yeah. So a lot of screen time is dedicated to introducing Ironheart and also bringing back Martin Freeman's character, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's the director of the CIA. We found out they were married, which I didn't see that coming. Okay, like
yeah, just whatever.
Yeah. And speaking of Ironheart, Riri Williams, I thought Dominique Thorne was great. I really enjoyed her character. Didn't think she absolutely had to be in this movie. I
she didn't
think the
contribute a lot, did
CIA, them getting a vibranium detecting machine, that could have just come from like anywhere. Like,
yeah.
Oh well, we've got this now. We've made this. There was a scientist, but they don't need to be brought into the fold. And obviously, we are getting an Ironheart series.
Yeah.
And I just thought you could have just waited for that, really. And like I really enjoyed her character, but like
it feels like she's been put in there to get that introduction, which
that's it. I didn't feel she was necessary to the story.
Like it's the way to go about those things is to sort of like have this. If you had that character in the film and you hadn't thought of doing an Ironheart show, and then you end up writing the character and thinking, God, this character's good. They've got an extra story to tell. It just feels more natural.
Yeah, it's sort of the reverse of that. It's like, well, we could introduce her here because we've got a show coming up. She naturally fits into the story. Reese, you mentioned her suit, bit Power Rangy.
Power Rangery. Hers either. What they got, the Midnight Angel, whatever they were called.
I didn't. Oh, you were talking about them as well.
We're talking about both of them, yeah.
I thought the same.
For some reason, I thought it was Midnight Beetle because it just looks a bit
Midnight
Beetle.
Midnight Angel. It looked so bad. Like I didn't
love that design either.
The Midnight Angel suit. First of all, I was
the best thing about
that's not the one they're going to use.
The best thing about like Dora Milaje is like where Okoye in the first one, like when she starts like beating people up in the casino, like she works best when she is this.
That's what I thought.
Hand-to-hand combat, like melee, melee type character where you can get like these really like great choreographed scenes, and then the end of the film is like, oh, she flies in on
this weird suit,
and then she's just like sort of like shooting people. And the first, like, I think was the fight scene you were talking about, Jack, the first duel with the big blue guy. Is that the scene you liked?
I like that.
I like that scene. No, that's not the bit I was on about. I was on about
like that
when he's like,
duel is great, and then the duel at the end, I was like, this is just a terrible version of the first duel.
Yeah,
like,
I don't even really remember the second duel.
Yeah, well, she just like
the first one's much better
now, and it's just like, okay, like it's a bit boring to have. Oh, she's strong, but she's not strong enough, so she needs a suit. Like I'm like,
No, have her overcome this villain in a second bout by just besting him in combat. Don't give her just you have Superman strength.
Especially because you had the other two.
Is Corvus Glaive, who's like gonna kill Vision.
Like you have those other two Dora Milaje people you could have put in the suits. They have one of them, and you could have put the other one in as well. I don't know why they needed Okoye to be in the suit.
Well, I
guess it was because she technically
she got fired.
Wasn't a Dora Milaje because they hadn't reinstated her or whatever.
Yeah, so
that scene was really fucking sad.
Oh my God!
When she called her mother, I know they call her Queen Mother, but when she just called her mother, my heart broke.
Yeah,
Queen Ramonda. For a split second, I was like, in that scene when it happened, I was like, she's gonna be Black Panther.
Nightmare.
It was Queen Ramonda saying back like, you've given everything, my husband and king died, my son has died, and now my daughter's been taken by a fish man with wings on his feet. you've given everything, and yeah, Angela Bassett's incredible in this movie. She gets two, I think, incredible moments to. Oh, and we do lose her eventually, which I thought that was really effective as well. It puts Shuri in a similar place to what we end up with Peter at the end of No Way Home. She's lost everything. I kind of didn't like
that Shuri followed the same path as T'Challa does in Civil War. Like I know they're trying to like draw distinctions, but I'm a bit bored of the I want to kill them, get revenge at the last moment, I choose not to. I feel like that recently, because it just happened in No Way Home.
It did.
I know it's like it's one of those character choose, like it's a classic trope, isn't it? Like this is where you choose. This is the line. If you cross it, you can't go back, which is fair enough. But I feel like with her there, they could have done something a little different.
That's fair. I disagree though. I thought it worked for that character. I love that sort of arc and progression. I thought it really worked for Shuri.
When she blew up the thing and like Namor gets caught in it, I was like, if they just one and done him.
That's what I thought. I was like,
no, don't kill him. I love him.
I was like, they've just killed him.
Beautiful man. Beautiful Tenoch.
His weakness, obviously he needs a weakness, but that's a real big drawback. I think that's the biggest drawback that I can think of an MCU weakness. Like that's
I liked it though. Yeah, I thought that made sense.
Like I said to you the other day, catch the man on a hangover and he's done.
I like that it wasn't, like this thing, this rock, he's weak to this rock or something along those lines. I like that they figured it out and used both their brains, Riri and Shuri, to figure it out.
I'm so unfamiliar and confused by the strength of what M'Baku is. Is he a man? Because they're like, this guy's as strong as the Thor and the Hulk.
M'Baku's just a man.
And he's like, he goes flying, but then he just gets back up and he's like, oh god, what a big hit. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you would not be surviving a punch from the Hulk or Thor. I know you got to keep him alive, but he needed to be humbled, didn't he? Because he just jumps head first into bloody everything.
I loved M'Baku in this movie.
Yeah, M'Baku was so good.
I thought we could have used more of him, but I thought all we did get was great.
I was a bit perplexed, like I was saying, that he was like a bit dumb, jumping in head first to things, and then suddenly, because I think it could have worked if there was more of him. But then the next scene or two over, he's sort of this like just nailing Shuri with this mad like guru advice.
Well, people can have layers, Calvin.
Yeah,
people can have,
Yeah, but you haven't shown. But you haven't shown me the layers.
It's because no one gives him the time.
But he is like
no one understands
he's already a leader, isn't he? Because he leads the Jabari. He's already basically.
Yeah, but I haven't seen him do any leading.
Yeah, but the man's a fucking king.
He needs to put up railings in his throne room because anyone could fall off that ledge.
Maybe that's the point.
Isn't that the point? Yeah, no, I thought Wisdom Duke was really good in this movie. All the performances.
I will say, going into the movie, I really didn't want them to make Shuri Black Panther. I knew it was going to happen.
It was the only one that made sense.
But I didn't want it. Yeah. But then the journey she had throughout the film, by the end, I was like, it's
got to be.
It was well done.
She was great. It's deserved.
Her suit was the best one as well.
Do we think that she is now
best Black Panther suit?
Black Panther suit, yeah.
Really? Yeah. I like the Civil War suit.
Yeah, I like that one more because it's actually a suit.
Yeah.
I don't like the nano stuff. I just find it a bit.
I don't. The nanotech, I'm like, I think it's more interesting when it's tangible.
The suit I really is. Oh, this is going way off. But like in the first film, T'Challa's father, the way his voice, like I'm like, why doesn't
leave us?
Leave us. You're gonna get a voice changer in there.
Yeah, no, that was great. I hate it when he leaned away from them.
I was worried at one point as well. We were gonna get, when she goes into like the ancestral plane or whatever.
Yeah,
a little part of me was really worried. I was like, "Oh, are we gonna get
CGI
Chadwick?"
I knew they wouldn't do that because.
And then when it was Michael B. Jordan, I was like, "Okay, that's pretty cool."
I knew they wouldn't do Chadwick because that was everyone's like friend. So everyone knew him. That would be
I know, but I don't have,
so blatantly disrespecable.
Disney in it.
I want to say
I
though,
don't trust them.
months ago I
kind of
called
wish
that
it was
Michael
on
B.
like an
Jordan.
actual plane though, like a no, like, yeah.
Why be on a plane?
In the first
Ancestral
one,
plane.
like an actual plane, and it just looks visually striking more than this.
I liked it being
powder.
in the throne room because it was.
Yeah,
It felt like all the other sort of kings were free out on the plane, but Michael B. Jordan's sort of trapped in a prison of his own making. Sort of he died fighting for this, and now he can never leave.
So they've
I like
confirmed
that.
it's a good way to confirm, this guy's dead.
Yeah. Months ago I called that. I knew they were going to try and bring it back in some way, and I was like, ancestral plane. I don't know why she's going to see him in the ancestral plane, but he's going to be there. And I thought because of where
your
her
hair doesn't stop growing in the ancestral plane, though, which is a nightmare. Barbers or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, somebody.
Luscious locks. Yeah.
I liked why she did see Killmonger though, because of where her heart was at the time. Rageful, vengeful. She just wanted Namor's head on a stick, and that's why she saw that member of a family as opposed to her mother or her brother. And I thought that was really good. And then obviously Ramonda, she does see Ramonda at the end, which brings her back to the light. And I
just
I like
random, it was like Vision. She met him once.
yeah, like
what if you accidentally think of someone at the time? Like, no, it's one person.
Ramonda's death. I know we mentioned it before, but that was really effective. And I thought big choice to make Namor be the one to do it. Which feels like even bigger of a moment for Shuri at the end when she does spare him and be like, right, yeah. Well, not like we're all right, but it was war. But from now on,
an extreme reaction, isn't it? That some random woman in your kingdom gets killed by another random woman, and you just straight up kill a queen.
Well, I found like
that's too much. Too much now.
I found that Namor's like retaliation wasn't actually in his people's best interest, but I wasn't sure how they were writing the character. Is it like he is the king, but is he a bit not stupid, but like that is like his whole thing is we want to be kept a secret. If you don't, I'm going to do these things. But because he's so powerful at the beginning of the film, they know how powerful he is. So they're like, that scares them. And I feel like using that fear against people would work more in his favor. But to openly attack, I think my issue is that I haven't actually had like a strong feeling of what Wakanda is. Like, does it have like the news or any press? Like, how would anyone not see this? And how would it?
Well, like, it's in a shielded, invisible. Yeah.
I know, but there's tourists there in one of the like last films. They were like, well, we're gonna get people can go there on like school trips.
I think you're thinking of Thor.
I swear they do mention in one of them they've opened themselves in the world and they got like things going on.
No, that in Infinity War the Avengers go there and Okoye says I didn't think this is what you meant when you said open Wakanda up to the world, and then she mentions like Starbucks in the Olympics, but I think it's more of a joke.
Yeah. Maybe got that wrong. Still though, I feel like I know you need like the big fights and conflicts, but I feel like those choices, maybe they're setting that up because at the end of the film it kind of looks like him and what's her name, Namora, like she has a bit of an issue, so maybe it's all gonna come crumbling down for him in a way. But I found him compelling, but also a bit not the best leader. And then that Shuri's choice at the end, the sort of, because I do find the last battle like questionable on Shuri's like tactical thinking in terms of like, oh, what's the best way to deal with this is to go on this big weird ship thing in the middle of the water. And it's a suicide mission, but they don't acknowledge that it is a suicide mission, which makes, this is usually why in films they say it's a suicide mission, because then the audience knows, oh, at least the characters know about it and they know what they're getting themselves into. So like all the Wakandans are dying. Shuri defeats Namor. They come back on the ship, and then there's only like 15 to 20 Wakandans left, and I kind of don't like. There's no consequences, and everyone's just like, yeah, like we sort of just kind of won, but also, you know, I think it's just the type of film it is. It's just that sort of like classic mainstream thing where I find it a bit like, you know, shouldn't there be some consequences? Like they have done consequences before in the MCU with like the Sokovia Accords and stuff. But I don't know, I just felt like that last battle just really didn't work for me.
It's
like,
similar problem to the first movie.
And to follow her, and from her point of view, would she not, after this battle, I know the film ends, but like, would she not feel any sort of guilt? Because she knows the sort of place she was in when she made all these people go to this fight. She wasn't thinking about anyone else. She was only thinking about what she needed to get done, which was to kill Namor. Which I don't know. For me, I was like, oh, you're a bit inconsiderate of your own people's lives. Maybe you shouldn't be in a fit state to.
I know, but then do you not think Namor would have gone back anyway?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Finish the job.
Like, I feel like if they acknowledge the situation they were going to, you probably avoid a lot of what I'm criticizing, you know?
Yeah, sure.
That usually works, but I don't know. I just found it a bit, you know, you could have lent into it and made her a bit more like morally grey, but it's Marvel, isn't it? So, you know, they're not going to do those things.
Speaking of the final battle, go on, Jack. Go on.
But at the end, at the end of the movie, she gives up being queen anyway. So surely that's her.
No, but I mean the leader the leader of the battle. You know, that like it just felt like if you've not got any like sound tacticians,
but like the
advisors who are going to be like.
But they all, but they all like agree to the plan, don't they?
Yeah, maybe not the big boat.
Yeah, but they still all agree to it. Like they could have.
Yeah, I know. It's because they don't. If they expected to die, I believe the triumph at the end, because they were facing, you know, it's a forlorn hope, isn't it? They go into something they can't possibly win, and that's why they're going into the water. But they don't mention, they don't say anything to be like, this is.
Do they ever say that they don't think they're going to win? I thought the whole point was that that's how they're going to beat him.
I think isn't that? I'm sure.
Yeah, but to send that many people, just to send that many people into.
But they don't send many people though. There's only about 20 of them there.
That is not 20. There's at least a couple of. There's at least like 200.
No, they're all soldiers. They're all going to die eventually, don't they? That's the point.
That's the bloody point.
They need to sort their army out because they keep losing people. They
don't go into the army thinking, "Oh, I'm going to make out of this in one piece."
Why don't they? They need to like invest in some machine guns or something, because those little.
That's what I don't get. What's her name? Nakia has this really cool gun that kills two of them. Just fucking make more of them.
Yeah.
In Infinity War, their spears were guns as well.
Yeah, but why
not have more of these guns that can kill these things like really easily?
They're like rifles.
Don't get where you're going with spears.
They ain't got automatic weapons. They were just shooting like pew, and then you'd be like.
Wait for it to fucking
look how many of those monsters
cool down like.
The final battle though, I thought between Shuri and Namor, I thought was a lot better than the final battle between T'Challa and Killmonger in the first film. Just visually, yeah. Oh my god! And then I did notice though when she pulls it, so she gets speared, and when she does pull herself off that. Not a drop of blood. Well, yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
Well, the suit, like, is the suit?
The suit like closes up, doesn't it? You hear it kind of like men.
Will it like just keep
but a spear has gone through her.
Yeah, but the blood would be like because there'll still be blood because the suit is mended. The blood's just all inside the suit, isn't it? You're not gonna see.
How did she get speared anyway? Like
he spears her. He like finds a spear in
yeah, but how did it get into the suit? I thought it couldn't.
It's vibranium.
Yeah, it's vibranium.
Oh, was the knives T'Challa and Killmonger were fighting with not vibranium? I don't see why they wouldn't.
I don't know.
The spear is sharper vibranium than
sharper vibranium. Okay.
Yeah, it's sharp. I don't know.
Good point. Yeah.
We don't know what
He's
changing all
been
those
down there
years.
all day with a whetstone. Like, I'm fucking gonna skewer this girl.
And yeah,
Could he
I
put it
thought
through a window?
I thought they were gonna kill Namor off for a second, and I was like, please don't. I think we need more of him. I hope we get a movie and not a series, but I feel like it'll be a series. Do you get that feeling? He's not quite
No, I think
big
it'll be a
enough
movie. I don't think
for
it'll
a
be.
movie.
I think once
No,
they've
it's like
seen the reaction he
Aquaman.
gets from this, they'll make it a movie. I
And he
reckon.
can fly. Aquaman can't fly.
Yeah, fuck Aquaman.
Can this guy talk to fish? No.
No, but there's sort of like a synergy, isn't there?
Yeah, like he uses
With
wheels
the-
and stuff, doesn't he?
yeah.
And he uses like
Yeah, I don't know how.
So,
Like, I'd
I
love
like,
to.
I
there's
like
a
that. There's,
respect
I
there.
thought, yeah, there's sort of like
Not
maybe
agree.
like mythical connection.
Just have an agreement. Like, do you want to somehow just making
Do you
whale
wanna-
noises?
no. Right, and yeah, and then we'll jump to the end of the movie after the fight. So when we're wrapping up, and there was I thought maybe like one too many scenes because it felt like like Return of the King. I thought there was like 4 endings, and I was like, what? And then it was like the Okoye saving Martin Freeman. I was like, don't end it there. And then it cuts to Shuri going to Haiti, and finally doing the ceremony that her mother wanted to show her to finally sort of end the grieving and move on from her brother's death. And I thought this scene was beautiful. She goes down to the beach by herself, burns the funeral robes, and we get some flashes of Chadwick. And you were all probably the same, started crying again there.
Loved.
Yeah, my God.
I was like, nah.
No,
It's
I
difficult.
thought that was beautiful.
I find it difficult when I'm like really expecting all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh
Like,
no, I go in knowing what I'm getting
No, I
ready.
didn't like that bit.
I thought that
me.
scene was like the nicest scene in the film. I kind of felt like they had too many scenes at the end, and that scene should have been the end.
Yeah.
It kind of felt. It kind of felt like, because the mid-credit scene's like, oh, a little treat for the audience.
Oh, I
Whereas,
love
like,
the mid-credit scene now.
Like, yeah, is that what we're talking about? The mid-credit scene? Because that's the same thing. You said she burns
Well,
She
the.
burns it, and then it ends, and then the mid
ends, and then the mid-credits
is
is
it?
Nakia
Oh, did
bringing.
they? Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Nakia
Maybe they
brings
should
her
have just had that all
son
in one
down.
scene. Okay.
I liked it. I thought it was a good moment to end on her remembering Chadwick. And
Yeah,
I
I feel
thought
like
that little
they should.
cherry on top. I was like, I'm gone again. It's got me.
Yeah, they definitely could have put it at the end and then just not had any credit scenes for Endgame. You know.
So Nakia brings her son down to the beach. His name is Toussaint, and then he's can you keep a secret? Oh, so it is T'Challa's child. He's around 6 years old. They knew he was going to die. They weren't present at the funeral because they agreed before his death that to keep this child sort of away from the pressure of the throne for now. And his real name is Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. And I was like, fuck me. Oh, that beautiful.
I always thought that scene was coming. I always thought that scene was coming, and then when it ends to the credits, I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I was sure that was going to happen. And then the mid credits comes on, and like she's still on the beach. I was like, oh, it's going to happen.
No, as soon as I saw that little blurry silhouette of a little kid in the back, I think I literally sat in cinema and I went, oh,
it's because she's like, beforehand, she's like, I'll meet you down there. I've just got to do something. And I was like, she's got to get her child. That's what it is. Her child. She needs to go get him from wherever he is.
You've sort of solved that, like, next Black Panther. Like, who's Black Panther now? And you're like, T'Challa.
but then also, like, I don't know where they're going to go with it, because he's supposed to be 6 years old. So, like, feasibly, if he was ever going to become,
and they just drag an older him from like a little multiverse or something.
No, it'll be Shuri will be for the next few appearances, and then by that time it'll be 10 years, and then we can get a young actor in.
Did you think like
Yeah,
they
young Black
probably
Panther.
won't do another Black Panther film until he's like, because they can just get a different.
It was Shuri's
actor,
Black Panther.
Yeah,
no,
but
I'm not disputing
like,
him.
she'll get
him...
another film, or you think like she'll just be
She'll
Black
get
Panther,
another film.
Like she'll be the next Black Panther. She'll be Black Panther in like the Avengers films, and
She'll be in
whatever
Black Panther
for
and
it.
Avengers and a Black Panther 3, and then
Do you think?
yeah,
That's a lot.
and then
of
by that
time.
time it'll be 10 years, and then they'll have young.
10 years in real time.
Yeah.
Oh god, they've got to end this shit, man.
They're never gonna.
Like,
end it. They're never gonna end it.
Like it's literally an empire. Like,
Yeah, it's insane. It's fucking crazy.
It's gonna be like Kevin Feige is gonna die, and then for some reason, like just a clone of him is just gonna turn up.
We have another.
It's gonna be that little robot from She-Hulk.
Yeah, it's going to be the
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
Evin.
Spoilers, mate.
It's been out for months, mate.
Right, so
How much shit?
there's before we get to our ratings out of 5, does anyone have any sort of final statements on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?
No, I'm
I think Angela Bassett should be nominated for some kind of award. You know,
Thought she was incredible. Yeah,
maybe an Oscar, probably.
MTV award or something.
Maybe an Oscar.
I think one of the for me anyway, one of the strongest films in the MCU, definitely Phase 4. Incredible performances. Thought it really achieved what mattered in the movie. I thought it was a beautiful send off Chadwick Boseman, and I've seen it twice already. I think I'll probably go back a third time next week. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Reese, do you want to start us off out of 5?
I'll give it a 4.
4. All right.
4. Yeah.
I'm also a 4 out of 5. Yeah, really great. Just maybe tune it up a bit with the action and the editing, and it would have been. I think it's better than the original Black Panther, though. I've got it higher on my list. It's up there for me. Calvin, out of 5.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
3 out of 5. And Jack?
I think it's definitely got potential to be bumped up after a second viewing, because the more we talk about it, the more excited about it I am. But yeah. I'm going to stick with my initial response to it. I want to give it 3.5.
All right, so 2 4s, a 3.5, and a 3. That is it for our review of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with our Marvel Phase 4 ranking, so join us for that. In the meantime, you can head to our YouTube and check out the latest episode of our podcast, where we talk about the new leadership at DC, which directors we'd like to see take on a franchise, what movie would improve with a cast of Muppets, and then we play a little game at the end to see things off. We also reacted to the John Wick 4 trailer and reviewed Weird, the Al Yankovic story, so check those out. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for weekly movie reviews, trailer reactions, and podcasts. But until next time, keep it real.